Triage assay technology and system quality control. The triage system is comprised of two basic elements: triage meter and test devices. These two elements are highly engineered complex components, designed to ensure consistent and precise test results in a variety of clinical environments. The triage test devices are based on fluorescent immunoassay technology and employ vast microcapillary and laser mechanics that allow the immunoassay to be performed in about 15 minutes with very few procedural steps. The design of the test devices allows for precisely timed reactions to take place on predetermined immunoassay zones, where the meter detects fluorescence and converts that reading into a concentration for each analyte. This process begins as soon as the blood or plasma sample is added to the sample port, using the pre-measured pipettes provided with the triage kit. The sample port employs a filter to remove blood cells and other particulates from the sample. As the clarified sample enters the reaction chamber, it mixes with fluorescently labeled antibodies and the other immunoassay reagents. Binding occurs during the incubation period while in the reaction chamber. A time gate at the end of the reaction chamber guarantees that the sample and the reagents incubate for precisely the correct amount of time. During the reaction, analyte molecules in the sample are reacting with the labeled antibodies, creating fluorescent analyte that can be quantified by the amount of fluorescent light they emit when excited with the laser. The microcapillary surfaces on the device direct the flow of fluorescent analytes down the assay lane to assay zones. These zones contain antibodies designed to capture the fluorescent analytes for detection by the meter. The sample continues down the assay lane as each assay zone captures a specific fluorescent analyte. The onboard controls ensure that the devices function properly and that the procedure has been done correctly. Meter software checks that sufficient sample was applied to the device and that there was sufficient time for incubation, and washing of sample has occurred. Once the meter detects the appropriate amount of fluorescence at each control zone, it will measure fluorescence at each assay zone, convert it to a concentration, and display it on the meter LCD screen. Results may also be printed or uploaded to your LIS system. The MeterPro. The MeterPro box contains a number of materials. 4 AA batteries. Remove the cover at the bottom of the meter to insert the batteries. Don't do this if the meter will always be plugged into the wall. Power supply adapter. Be careful. The extension from the adapter to the wall is tailor-made to the different country specifications and is delivered outside the box. QC device. Supervisor code chip. These will be explained later during this program. Paper rolls. Open the lid and add the roll to the printer as shown here. Use the paper feed button to complete the installation. As this is thermo paper, we can only use one side. Keep the printout away from direct sunlight as the printing will fade away. Let's review the proper storage and handling of the triage test devices. The triage test kits come in clearly marked color-coded boxes. For example, green is the product color of the Triage BNP. Each test kit is shipped sealed and needs to be opened when testing is ready to begin. Each kit contains enough supplies to perform 25 individual tests. Inside each kit, you have 25 test devices, 25 transfer pipettes, a reagent code chip, and a roll of printing paper for the triage meter. The person who is unsealing the kit needs to install the new code chip, so lot-specific information gets transferred into the triage meter memory. The triage test kits have the kit lot number and the expiry date stamped on the outside of each test kit. The lot number and the expiry date can also be found on each individual test pack. The Triage test kits are to be stored in the refrigerator at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. When they are kept in the refrigerator, they do not expire until the date stamped on the test kit and individual test devices. The test devices must be brought to room temperature for at least 15 minutes before they can be used. Once a test device has been brought to room temperature, it can be used for testing for the next 14 days. You must clearly mark the test device with a 14-day expiry date if it is to be left out at room temperature. When the test device is at room temperature, you're ready to begin testing. Do not open the test device until immediately before testing. Open the foil pouch that contains the test device. Write the patient identification information on the ID line with a permanent marker to properly identify the patient. You may also want to write the time of inoculation on the device to ensure that the test device is measured within 30 minutes of inoculation. Also, keep the test device away from strong direct sunlight in order to prevent influence on the fluorescence. Triage MeterPro QC. As discussed earlier, the Triage devices have built-in controls on every device that are performed each and every time you run a patient sample. In addition to the internal controls, you will need to perform the QC device to verify the performance of your meter. Each meter you receive from Inverness Medical will have its own QC device. Before you begin testing, make sure the serial number on the QC device box matches the serial number on the Triage meter. It is recommended that the QC device is run every day of patient testing. The Triage meter will prompt you when it's time to run the QC device. The first time you use the QC device, you will have to install the code chip that is included in your kit. To install a code chip, from the main menu, go to Install New Code Chip and press Enter. Then insert the code chip into the Triage MeterPro and press Enter. You'll begin by starting at the Triage main menu. Make sure the Run Test option is highlighted. Press the Enter key. Press the down arrow until the QC device option is highlighted. To run the QC device, you press Enter while at the QC device menu. You're prompted to insert the QC device. Remove the QC device from its box and push the QC device gently into the meter until you hear a click. Press Enter to begin testing. The QC device begins testing and will take 2 to 3 minutes to run. When the QC device is completed, the Triage meter will eject the device. Your results are displayed on the display. The meter will print the results. The final results should be as follows: calibration, passed; laser functionality, passed; and laser alignment, passed. If all 3 of these parameters pass, you may continue with your patient testing. If any of the parameters fail, you will have to run the QC device again. Before you rerun the QC device, take a lint-free cloth and wipe off the clear glass area of the QC device. Rerun the QC device again. Return the QC device to its box when completed. The QC device must be stored in its box and be protected from light. The Triage meter will not allow you to run a patient sample until the QC device requirement has been met. Triage patient testing. When you're ready to begin patient testing, make sure that your Triage test devices are at room temperature. You can refer to the section on device handling if you have any questions. You can begin by removing the test device from the foiled pouch and properly labeling it with the patient ID. Verify that your patient sample matches the ID on your test device. Make sure your Triage meter is powered on. At the main menu, The Run Test prompt should be highlighted. Press Enter. The meter will advance to the next menu. Your choices are as follows: Patient Sample, QC Device, and QC Sample. Highlight the Patient Sample option by moving the up and down arrows and press Enter. You're now asked to enter the patient ID number. When you're finished entering the patient ID number, press Enter. The next screen gives you the option to correct or confirm the patient ID that you entered. If the patient ID you entered is incorrect, then select the correct option by pressing the down arrow and press Enter. Change the patient ID number and repeat the confirmation steps. If the patient ID number you entered is correct, then press Enter at the Confirm option. The meter advances to the next screen. The Triage meter instructs you to add a patient sample to the test device and insert it into the carrier. Now, invert the patient sample several times to ensure it is homogeneous, and drop the sample into one of the disposable pipettes provided with the kit. To ensure the correct sample volume, depress the bulb of the pipette completely. Insert the tip of the pipette into the sample and release pressure on the pipette bulb slowly. There should be no bubbles visible in the body of the pipette, and some sample should backfill into the small lower bulb as overflow. Once the pipette is filled with sample, withdraw and slowly inoculate the sample port of the device by gently depressing the large bulb on the pipette. The sample should soak immediately through the filter as you dispense it. As soon as the sample has soaked through the filter, insert the device into the Triage meter carrier until you hear a click. The device is now locked into place and ready for testing. Press Enter to begin testing. Your results will be displayed in about 15 minutes. When running multiple test devices, inoculate the first device, place it in the meter, and begin testing. Then inoculate the second device and place it in the meter when the first device is completed. As the meter is a complex reader only, the approximately 15 minutes start when you inoculate the device. The reading of a device takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Always ensure the test devices get inserted into the meter within 30 minutes. If a device is not placed into the meter within 30 minutes, you must inoculate a new device and repeat testing. When your test is complete, the meter will display the patient ID number and the test results. If any test result is out of range, it will be black highlighted and a message will appear alerting you of the abnormal result. For example, with the Triage BMP test that will be greater than 100 picograms per milliliter. Results will automatically be printed. Additional printouts can simply be generated by pressing the Print button. When searching for results, you can look at the previous results by using the Recall Results feature in the Triage Meter main menu. If you need a detailed description of how to use the Recall Results feature, refer to the Triage MeterPro user manual. Supervisor functions for the installer. The following program is designed to train supervisors on the advanced features of the Triage meter, including date and time settings, language, user ID management, QC parameters, normal ranges. These features can only be accessed when the Supervisor code chip is inserted in the meter. When the Supervisor code chip is in the meter, two additional items are displayed on the main menu screen: Set Parameters and Delete Results. The Set Parameter menu allows you to prepare your instrument for utilization and to manage it during use. Choose Set Parameters, Meter Settings, and ID Settings. Go to Characters, Patient ID, and select the minimum and maximum number of characters to be used. Entering the Set Parameters, meter settings, and display settings will bring you to Language, which you can choose by using the arrows, Print mode. Choose automatically to get a direct print of each result. Auto power off. Here, choose 30 minutes. Enter set parameters and choose clock. Choose the format for time and date. Set parameters and QC parameters will bring you to the QC device frequency. The QC device frequency needs to be put at daily to ensure the quality of the results at each day of patient testing. Entering set parameters bypass gives you the possibility to bypass the user ID. If you wish to disable this function, simply use the right arrow until the display reads On, indicating that the bypass function is turned on. Delete results will delete all previously obtained results. The instrument otherwise automatically uses the first in, first out FIFO principle to store the latest results. This concludes the in-service program. Contact your local partner if you have any further questions.